Most people think they need to change their entire life overnight, to feel different, to get out of a rut, to finally become who they want to be. But that's not how it works. Real change doesn't happen in one big moment. It happens in small, quiet, consistent choices that you repeat daily. When no one's watching, when it's not exciting, and especially when it's hard. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need the stars to align. What you need is one small action that becomes your daily proof that you're moving forward. Today I'm going to show you how doing just one thing daily, something so small it almost feels silly, can slowly and powerfully improve your life. You'll learn how to stop overthinking and start building momentum, how to create discipline that lasts beyond motivation, and how to shift your identity not by dreaming but by doing. We'll talk about the kind of habits that don't look impressive on the outside, but completely transform the way you show up for yourself on the inside. Because this isn't about hype, it's about habits. It's not about changing your life in 30 days. It's about becoming the kind of person who keeps showing up day after day, without excuses, without drama, and with quiet strength. Stay with me for the next few minutes as I break down the mindset, method, and momentum behind this daily shift, so you can start building the life you've been waiting for. Let's dive in. Number 1, stop overthinking and start doing. Overthinking is the silent killer of progress. It convinces you that you need more information, more time, or the perfect plan before you begin. It creates a loop, an endless cycle of hesitation that keeps you stuck in place while your goals drift further away. But here's the truth. The more you think about doing something, the less likely you are to actually do it. Action beats analysis every single time. You don't need 100 steps mapped out to take the first one. You just need to move. Clarity doesn't come from sitting on the sidelines. It comes from stepping into motion. The moment you start, even with something small, you break the cycle of self-doubt. You begin to gather real feedback, build real momentum, and most importantly, you prove to yourself that you're not just a thinker, you're a doer. The people who grow, who level up, who improve, are not the ones with the best plans. They're the ones who take action while others are still preparing. And it doesn't need to be grand. You don't need to run a marathon to be a runner. You don't need to write a book to be a writer. You just need to take that first, humble, quiet step and repeat it tomorrow. So instead of asking, what if it doesn't work? Start asking, what if I never start? Because no amount of thinking will replace the power of doing. Progress begins where hesitation ends. And that starting point is always smaller and simpler than you think. Pick one thing, one habit, one movement, and do it today. Not next week. Not when motivation strikes. Not when the timing is perfect. Now, even if it's messy. Even if you're not ready. Especially if you're not ready. The shift begins when you stop waiting for courage and start building it through action. Your brain will catch up. Your confidence will catch up. But nothing changes until you do. The greatest breakthroughs often start as the smallest steps. And that step, it's not something you overthink. It's something you take. Start now. Not perfectly, but intentionally. Because the moment you move, even just a little, you step into your next level. And from there, everything begins to change. Number 2, one small win creates a ripple. Change doesn't need to feel like an earthquake. It doesn't have to shake the world or make headlines. Most of the time, it begins with one small win, something so simple, so doable, that it almost feels like it doesn't matter. But it does. That one tiny act is the first ripple. And if you stick with it, it spreads quietly, consistently, powerfully. People often underestimate the value of a small win because it doesn't look impressive. Drinking a glass of water in the morning doesn't feel like self-improvement. Reading one page doesn't feel like growth. Doing 5 push-ups doesn't feel like fitness. But that's where most people miss the point. It's not about the size of the action. It's about what it sets in motion. A small win is not the end goal. It's the spark. It reminds your brain, I can do this. And when you repeat it the next day, the ripple gets bigger. One small win changes your energy. It shifts your mood, your focus, your sense of control. And from that tiny shift, you start to stack better decisions. You drink more water because you already started healthy. You walk a little more because you already stretched. You think clearer because you already journaled. That's the ripple. It builds on itself. It compounds. And before you realize it, you're living differently. Not because you overhauled your life, but because you committed to one thing that mattered. Let me ask you, when's the last time you finished something and felt proud? Not because it was big, but because you actually followed through. That feeling is fuel. That's momentum in its purest form. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's yours. And it reminds you that you're capable. When you commit to one small win daily, you train yourself to stop waiting for the right mood, the right time, the perfect plan. You start showing up regardless of how you feel. That's what builds strength. That's what builds identity. You become the kind of person who follows through. And that one win, it's no longer small, it's foundational. The ripple effect begins with one decision, a simple one. So don't overthink it. Pick one thing today that you can finish start to end. Do it fully. Let that be your first win. And tomorrow, do it again. The habit is less about what you do and more about who you become in the process. Start your ripple today. One small win, one quiet victory. That's how real change begins. Not with a roar, but with a whisper that keeps echoing forward. Number 3, make it too simple to fail. The biggest mistake people make when trying to change their life is making the plan too big. They set goals that sound impressive, but they're nearly impossible to keep up with when real life kicks in. And then when they inevitably fall short, they think they failed. But they didn't fail. The strategy did, because success isn't about intensity. It's about consistency. And consistency starts by making your habit so small, so doable, that it feels ridiculous to skip. If your goal requires perfect conditions, it's too big. If it needs motivation to work, it's too fragile. But when you shrink the task down to something so simple, it's almost laughable. You remove the friction. You make it hard to say no. One push-up, one paragraph, one page. Not because that's the finish line, but because it gets you started. And starting is everything. Let me give you an example. Imagine trying to build a habit of working out. If you say, I'll exercise for an hour every day, that sounds great on a good day. But what about when you're tired, stressed, or short on time? You'll skip it. Not because you're lazy, but because the bar is too high. Now imagine saying, I'll do one set of bodyweight squats every day. No matter what your schedule looks like, you can find 30 seconds. And once you do that one set, chances are you'll do more. But even if you don't, you still win. Why? Because you kept your promise. That's the key. This isn't about lowering your standards, it's about building a foundation. When the habit is tiny, it becomes automatic. And when it's automatic, it becomes who you are. That's how you build trust with yourself. By stacking easy wins that prove you show up. Not once in a while, but daily. You can grow it later. You can expand the habit once it's locked in. But the start, it has to be so small it feels impossible to fail. That's how you remove the pressure. Remove the excuses and build unstoppable momentum. So ask yourself, what's the version of your habit that you could do even on your worst day? When you're tired, unmotivated, busy, or overwhelmed, what's the smallest action that still counts as a win? That's your new starting point. Because consistency doesn't begin with strength. It begins with simplicity. Make your habit so easy, it becomes second nature. Then stack it, grow it, but first, make it stick. One step, one rep, one sentence at a time. That's how you build something real. Not with grand promises, but with tiny daily proof that says, I don't just talk about change, I live it. Keep it simple. Keep it solid. That's how you win. Number 4. Discipline will take over when motivation leaves. Motivation feels amazing. When it's there, it gives you that rush, that fire, that energy to start something new. But let's be honest, it never lasts. One bad night of sleep, one stressful day, and motivation disappears. That's why the people who win in life don't rely on it. They build something stronger, discipline. Because when motivation walks out, discipline steps in and says, we're still doing this. Discipline is your safety net. It's the system that keeps you on track when you don't feel like showing up. And here's the truth. No one feels like it every day. No one wakes up inspired 7 days a week. But those who've built discipline don't need to feel like it. They do it anyway. That's what separates the talkers from the doers. Motivation asks, do I want to? Discipline says, it's time. And once you build that internal rhythm, something shifts. You stop making decisions based on your emotions and start making them based on your standards. You stop chasing energy and start relying on structure. That's where the breakthrough happens. I remember the day I stopped asking myself how I felt and started asking myself what I committed to. That shift alone changed everything. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't even exciting, but it was powerful because it meant that even on low energy days, I could trust myself to follow through. You don't need to feel inspired to make progress. You need a rhythm, a habit you repeat, regardless of your mood. That's how real momentum is built, not in bursts of excitement, but in quiet, steady effort. So instead of waiting for motivation to strike, build something you can lean on when it's gone. Let's say your goal is to write. You might feel inspired on Monday and write 3 pages. But what about Thursday when your mind is foggy? If you've built discipline, you still write. Maybe not 3 pages, maybe just 1 sentence. But you still show up. And that single act keeps the identity intact. You're still a writer. You're still in motion. Discipline doesn't ask for perfection. It asks for presence. And every time you follow through, you cast another vote for the person you're becoming. That's how you stay grounded when life gets chaotic. So stop waiting for the perfect mood, the right energy, or a lightning bolt of motivation. Instead, build a system that carries you on the days you'd rather quit. 1 action, 1 commitment, 1 promise kept. That's how you build a life you can rely on. Not one powered by feelings, but one powered by discipline. Quiet, steady, unshakable. Number 5. Identity follows repetition, not intention. You don't become who you want to be by wishing. You become that person by doing the things they would do again and again until it feels natural. Identity doesn't shift through intention alone. It shifts through repetition, through action, through follow-through. Every time you show up for yourself, even in a small way, you cast a vote for the kind of person you're becoming. Think about it. A runner isn't defined by how fast they are. A runner is someone who runs. A writer isn't someone with a publishing deal. A writer is someone who writes. An organized person isn't born that way. They're the ones who take 5 minutes each day to put things in order. It's not the title that makes the identity. It's the behavior, repeated often enough, that it starts to feel like second nature. That's why small daily actions matter more than grand declarations. You can set big goals, dream bold dreams, and even plan down to the last detail. But if you don't act consistently, your brain doesn't believe you. And if your brain doesn't believe you, your identity never truly shifts. Let me ask you, how many times have you promised yourself change, only to fall back into the same old patterns? That's not because you lack willpower. It's because identity doesn't respond to promises. It responds to proof. And proof is built daily, one small win at a time. So if you want to think differently, act differently. Want to be more confident? Start showing up for the promises you make to yourself. Want to be more focused? Create a habit that reinforces that, even for 5 minutes a day. The magic isn't in the scale of the action. It's in the consistency. You don't need to feel like a disciplined person to become one. You just need to act like one long enough for your mind to catch up. Over time, your repeated actions build a foundation. You start to say, this is just who I am now. Not because you shouted it into the mirror, but because you lived it day after day. And even when you miss a day, your identity doesn't crumble, because it's rooted in a history of follow-through. So here's the shift. Stop trying to become someone new. Start proving to yourself, one day at a time, that you already are. Keep it simple, keep it honest, keep it daily, because identity doesn't change with inspiration. It changes with repetition. One action, repeated. One habit, reinforced. That's the true path to becoming. And when your actions line up with the person you want to be, you won't just believe it, you'll live it. Number 6, track it to respect it. If you don't track it, you'll never truly respect it. That's the truth. Most people avoid. They say things like, I've been pretty consistent, or I think I'm doing better. But the truth is, without a record, it's all just guesswork. And guesswork creates illusions. You feel like you're making progress, but you're not sure. And when things start to slip, you don't even notice until it's too late. Success loves clarity, and clarity comes from tracking. When you track something, you bring awareness to it. You make it real. You take it out of the fog and put it in front of your face. Whether it's a habit, a workout, a study session, or your daily discipline. Once you write it down, it counts. It becomes something you can build on. It becomes part of your story. Tracking isn't complicated. You don't need a fancy app or a color-coded spreadsheet. You just need a method that keeps you honest. A notebook, a wall calendar, a checklist. One simple system that asks, did you do what you said you'd do today? Yes or no. And that's the beauty of it. When you see the streak building, you protect it. When you see a gap, you face it. You don't hide behind feelings. You deal with facts. That kind of honesty creates momentum, because every check mark is a small trophy. Every day of follow-through becomes another brick in your foundation. Let me ask you, if someone looked at your last 7 days, what would they see? Real consistency or just intentions? You deserve to know the truth, not so you can judge yourself, but so you can grow. Because most people don't fail from lack of effort. They fail from lack of awareness. They feel busy, but busy isn't the same as disciplined. Without tracking, it's all just noise. And here's the thing. When you track your actions, you start to make better decisions. You see patterns. You notice what triggers success and what leads to slipping. You become a student of your own behavior, and that self-awareness, that's a superpower. So here's the move. Pick one habit, one small thing you're committed to doing daily, then track it. No drama, no excuses, just truth. Yes or no, done or not done. Keep it simple, but keep it consistent. Because the act of tracking itself builds character. It builds self-respect. And over time, it builds results. You stop lying to yourself. You stop guessing. You start improving. When you track your discipline, you honor it. And what you honor, you strengthen. So if you're serious about change, don't just think it. Don't just say it. Track it. Own it. Build it. One day, one check mark at a time. Number 7. When you miss a day, just restart. You're not a machine. You're gonna miss a day. You'll oversleep. You'll get overwhelmed. Life will interrupt you. And that's okay. Missing one day doesn't mean you failed. It just means you're human. The real danger isn't in the missed day. It's in the story you tell yourself afterward. The guilt, the self-blame, the spiral. That's what breaks the streak, not the mistake itself. Too many people throw away the entire habit because they missed once. They say, I messed up, so I might as well stop. That mindset ruins more progress than failure ever could. But here's the truth. Missing one day is nothing. Missing 2, that's a pattern. And that's where discipline steps in. The people who build lasting habits aren't perfect. They just know how to recover fast. No emotion, no drama. They miss a day, then get right back to it the next day. Same time, same place, same task. That's the move. No catch-up, no punishment, just forward. Think of it like brushing your teeth. You wouldn't say, I forgot last night, so I'll just stop brushing forever. You'd brush again in the morning. Simple. Habits work the same way. Skip 1, fine. Just don't skip 2. This mindset frees you. It removes the pressure to be flawless, because perfection is the enemy of consistency. If you expect every day to go smoothly, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. But if you plan for setbacks, if you make space for imperfection, you build something far stronger than motivation. You build resilience. Let me ask you, what do you usually do when you fall off track? Do you spiral or do you reset? Because the faster you reset, the faster you regain control. That's what separates those who grow from those who quit. Not who stays perfect, but who comes back quickest. The best part is, every time you restart, you build a stronger identity. You tell yourself, I'm the kind of person who returns. That matters. That shapes you. Because long-term success isn't about doing it every day. It's about doing it most days and picking it back up without delay when life gets messy. So here's your new rule. Miss one day. Restart the next. Don't wait for Monday. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for a clean slate. The next moment is your reset button. And the more you practice this, the easier it gets. The guilt fades. The bounce back becomes automatic. And before long, missing a day won't scare you anymore, because you know you'll return. Discipline isn't built on perfection. It's built on persistence. So if you fall, don't fold. Just stand back up, reset, and keep going. Because consistency isn't never missing, it's never quitting. Number 8, momentum is quiet, but powerful. Momentum doesn't shout. It doesn't come with fireworks. It doesn't show up with a grand entrance. But when you build it, you feel it. It's that quiet force that makes doing the right thing feel easier. It's the rhythm that carries you forward without needing a push every single day. And the best part? You don't need to do something big to build it. You just need to start and keep going. Momentum begins with one small win, one act of follow-through. You don't have to overhaul your life. Just pick something and do it. And then tomorrow, Do it again. Day by day, you'll start to notice a shift. What felt hard last week becomes your new normal. What used to take effort now feels automatic. That's momentum taking hold. But here's the catch. Momentum isn't built in the spotlight. It's built in the ordinary. It's in the quiet reps, the unnoticed efforts, the decisions that don't get applause, that 10-minute walk, that one page you read, that 5 minutes of meditation. They don't look impressive, but they create movement. And movement creates belief. Let me tell you, once momentum starts rolling, it works in your favor. You wake up with direction. You make better choices. You start seeing yourself differently, not because of one big win, but because of many small ones stacked together. Momentum makes it easier to stay in motion, but losing it makes everything harder. One skipped day turns into two. One excuse turns into many. That's why protecting your streak, even when the action is small, is so important. Because it's not just about the task, it's about staying connected to your progress. And here's the truth. You don't need to feel amazing to build momentum. You just need to do something, even when you're tired, even when you don't feel like it. Especially then, because that's when you teach your brain, we keep going no matter what. That decision builds character, that consistency builds strength, and that strength builds momentum. So stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for the perfect wave to ride. Start creating your own wave, one action, one win, one step at a time. Momentum isn't something you find, it's something you build. And once it's there, you won't have to think so hard about what to do next. You'll already be in motion. You'll already have direction. That's when discipline becomes natural. That's when identity locks in. So if you feel stuck, don't chase a big leap. Just go for one push forward. That's enough to get the wheel turning. And if you keep it turning, it will carry you further than motivation ever could. Quiet momentum, built daily. That's your edge. Use it, protect it, and keep moving forward. Number 9. Build your day around one non-negotiable. Every day is full of distractions, responsibilities, and noise. You wake up, check your phone, and the world rushes in. Emails, messages, tasks, all competing for your attention. And before you know it, the day controls you. But here's a powerful shift. Take back that control by building your day around one non-negotiable habit. Just one thing that no matter what happens, you will do. This isn't about packing your schedule with a dozen goals. It's about choosing one action that centers you, grounds you, and moves you forward. It becomes your anchor, your daily promise to yourself, your proof that no matter how chaotic things get, you're still in charge of your direction. The key is to make it clear and consistent. Not I'll try to fit it in, but this happens, period. It could be reading 10 pages, walking for 15 minutes, journaling for 5, meditating in silence, or doing 10 push-ups. Whatever you choose, make it meaningful, make it doable, and make it non-negotiable. Because when you commit to one thing daily, you eliminate decision fatigue. You don't ask, should I do this today? You already decided. That one habit becomes your personal standard, and over time it becomes part of who you are. Let me ask you this. What if the rest of your day went off track, but you still showed up for that one habit? Wouldn't you still feel proud? Wouldn't you still feel grounded? That's the power of a non-negotiable. It gives you back a sense of control. It reminds you that you don't need a perfect day to make progress. You just need one moment where you follow through. This single act also simplifies your priorities. With so many distractions out there, your brain needs clarity. And clarity comes when you say, no matter what, I do this. It's a signal to yourself and to the world that you're serious about becoming the person you want to be. Now don't confuse this with perfection. Some days will be messy. You'll be tired. Plans will fall apart. But if you can still get that one thing done, your one non-negotiable, you win. And that win builds confidence. That win builds identity. So choose your habit wisely. Don't make it too big. Make it consistent. Choose something you can complete, even on your busiest or worst day. Then commit. Not casually. Not when convenient. Daily. Without debate. Because when you organize your day around a non-negotiable, you stop chasing balance and start creating structure. And with structure comes peace. With peace comes clarity. And with clarity comes real, lasting growth. One habit, one anchor, every day. That's how you stay grounded. When life pulls in every direction, make it count, make it yours, and never skip the thing that keeps you centered. Number 10, real growth happens in silence. The world loves loud results. It celebrates the big moments, the transformations, the before and after stories, the shiny milestones. But what no one talks about enough is where those results actually come from. Not from one massive breakthrough, not from a sudden flash of inspiration. Real, lasting growth happens in the silence. In the quiet, boring, ordinary moments that don't get applause. It's waking up and doing the thing when no one's watching. It's sticking to your habit on a rainy day, on a tired day, on a why am I even doing this day. It's doing the push-ups when your muscles ache, reading the pages when your brain is foggy, writing the journal entry when your thoughts feel dull. It's not glamorous, it's not exciting, but that's where change is born. You see, the magic isn't in the intensity, it's in the consistency. Loud effort fades fast. Quiet effort lasts. That's what separates those who dream from those who evolve. The dreamers wait for passion to strike. The doers get up and work in silence, knowing the results will show up later. Let me ask you, can you stay committed even when no one's cheering you on? Can you keep going without needing constant feedback or approval? Because that's the test. And if you can pass it, you've already won. There's a moment in your journey when something clicks. The thing that used to feel hard now feels normal. The habit that required effort now feels automatic. That's not coincidence. That's the reward of silent repetition. You trained your mind and body to show up without needing noise, hype, or drama. And one day, without even realizing it, you'll look up and see just how far you've come. Not because you shouted it to the world, but because you never stopped. And that kind of growth, it's unshakable. Because it wasn't built on motivation. It wasn't built for applause. It was built in private, earned through discipline, and owned deep within. So stop looking for your breakthrough in the spotlight. Start building it in the silence. Show up before you feel ready. Stay consistent even when it's invisible. Trust the process even when no one else sees it. Because if you keep going, something powerful will happen. You'll become someone you deeply respect. Not for what you've achieved, but for how you kept showing up. Remember, the greatest shifts are often quiet. They don't trend, they don't announce themselves, but they last. And that kind of growth, that's real, that's yours, and no one can take it from you. You don't need to change your whole life today. You just need to do one thing, one small, intentional action that proves to yourself, I'm moving forward. That's where the shift begins. Not in some perfect plan or grand gesture, but in the quiet choice you make every single day to keep showing up. One page, one walk, one habit. Simple, sustainable, yours. Because when you commit to that one thing daily, everything else starts to align. Your confidence grows. Not because you did something big, but because you kept your word. Your clarity sharpens. Not because life got easier, but because you became stronger. The secret isn't motivation, and it's not talent. It's consistency, discipline, follow through. Those are the bricks that build your future. You're not trying to impress anyone. You're trying to build someone, and that someone is you. The person who doesn't rely on energy, who doesn't wait for the right moment, but who shows up regardless. That's the kind of person who wins. Not just once, but for life. So ask yourself again, what's the one thing you'll do daily? No matter what, make it clear. Make it small. Make it non-negotiable. Because it's not about doing everything. It's about doing something, and doing it every single day until it becomes part of who you are. The life you want isn't waiting at the end of a perfect plan. It's hiding in your daily decisions. Quiet, simple, powerful. One thing, done daily. That's how you change everything, without needing to change everything at once. Let's build it. Let's begin. One step, one habit, one day at a time.